Griot's foam cannon. I'm gonna fumble my way through this. So I don't have a lot of experience with this other than Tommy's actually hammering on mine back there. We actually took it apart to show people. Make sure you're not, if you're not subscribed, you should subscribe to the OG Shorts channel. That's where we share a lot of the more technical stuff. We built that channel so that way we could link back to the website and not have to clog this channel up with too many product videos, because I learned my lesson early on. You put too many product videos up, and people unsubscribe and they disappear. And so we made the Shorts channel because we wanted the technical information to be available and out there. I think we have what, 5,000 subscribers on that channel or something like that. It's 5,000 or 6,000. So go subscribe to that and check it out if you want to dig into some of the details of some of the specific products and use. So I opened this up a few minutes ago. I've been using one over here for a little while. And are you done with that thing? Let me have that thing back. So this is the one I've been using. This is the one I stole from Adam LZ. And I was kind of waiting on MTM to innovate, and we've had many discussions about it, and it just haven't done it. And so, unless I spent $1 zillion like Griot's Garage has on making a new modified version, a better version, I just don't think it's going to happen. And so I stopped fighting and waiting, and so now I'm just gonna start using these in my personal garage. These have been out for what, 2.5 years now, so I look like an idiot and coming late to the party, but whatever, I'm willing to look like an idiot. So there's still a lot to be learned about these things. There's not a lot of information. I was doing some research, reading the documentation. I'll show you, open this thing up. And so I have a lot of work to do on sharing this with you and learning myself on the metering tips and if that would be more functional. And then, of course, one of the things that's a little bit, it isn't published anywhere. Now I'm making an assumption here. This is a 1.25 millimeter orifice in here, and I'll explain how that works in a second. And it comes with a 1.1. So conventional wisdom would lead us to believe that this is a 1.25 unless they made some special weird number. So I'm hoping this is a 1.25. I'm going to confirm that with Rod and the team at Griot's Garage, see if they can look that up for me and find that out. Griot's hasn't gone as detailed or as deep into pressure washing as I have. That's why I think it's a great partnership for us. They can help me by making great products. They have the resources to do that. I can hopefully help them by discovering some things that we can improve upon over time. So I think it's a good partnership. So anyway, normally when you're using the foam cannon, it would look like so. The things to note about this is, the thing I like most is the bottle. So this would be a replacement bottle if you wanted an extra bottle. This sucker's frickin' stout. So it's quite a bit thicker. The threads have more meat on the bones. The neck, there's no flex. And so this is an HPDE, I believe it's HPDE. Yep, HPDE. HDPE, what am I saying? HDPE bottle type of plastic, high density polyethylene bottle. So this should be, completely chemical resistant. I've had Brake Buster, which is a high alkalinity product, sitting in here it's been in there for 6 or 7 months now, sitting there just like that. So this is the most caustic product that I use in anything, and it's not an issue. But the bottle has nice coarse threads, and now it's still plastic on plastic, so you do want to be mindful of it. It has really nice screen printing, and then has the stuff on the side to go up to 1,000 milliliters. So it has both milliliters, and so it has milliliter measurements on both sides. It's interesting because I call it a 32-ounce foam cannon. It is 32 ounces because it goes above the 1,000 mark, but it doesn't have any ounces on the side, which is fine because we're not going to mess with that imperial measurement when we're diluting anyway. So you can buy an extra bottle. The other thing that I won't show you in this video, which you'll want to go watch Nick's video on our Nick, not Nick Griot, but you'll want to watch the OG Short, where we do the rebuild. Maybe because I don't keep foam cannons long enough, it seems like I'm changing them all the time. but I don't find rebuilding necessary. I'm sure many of you will, especially if you have harder water. There's a filter inside of here that you need to replace, and there's a simple rebuild kit. There's really not much to these things. It's really pretty simple to modify and adjust. You take the plug off, you take the orifice out. Actually, I think the rebuild, I don't even think you need to do that. You pop this pin out here, this thing slides off the end, and then there's, internal components here. So the first thing that I like is the bottle. The bottle is really stout. The bottle's really nice. The threads are nice. You're gonna have less chance of messing it up. And of course, the wide mouth neck makes it easier for us to pour, water, pour product into. I like the size that they chose. I want to say this is like a 2-inch neck. I'm just glad I didn't have to make any of these choices. Just let somebody else do it. So it's an inch. Yeah, I mean, it's 2-inch OD. So like maybe 1.75" ID. So it's a 1.75" hole with a 2-inch external diameter roughly. And so I like that size because, sometimes they could get some of these ones, some of these weird off-brand ones I've seen, these, these Chinese knockoffs have too wide of a neck. And so this just makes it easier to fill. You dunk it in the bucket, you'll fill it up much more quickly. And then of course the design of the bottle is with the head on, it's not going to fall over. Like you'd have to try pretty hard to knock the thing over. So that's a real huge advantage. And part of the reason why the MTM, why they made a different bottle for the head. So then, I don't know that it's not really necessary for this, but why the heck not? Stainless stuff is just nicer. It looks nicer. We could certainly get away. We've been getting away with brass forever. But if you're going to make it and it costs a few dollars extra, why not make it with stainless? And so all the internal components in here are stainless as well. I believe the fan here, the 0 to 40 degree fan, is also stainless. Even the screw on the top is stainless, help keep us from corroding. The internal orifice nozzle is stainless as well. The ball on the end is stainless. So a really, really nice design, nice components. The siphoning head here, or I guess the siphoning neck here, is stainless. Even the pin that goes to hold the plastic fan adjustment is stainless. So that's really, really nice. This is $100 for this sucker. I think it's probably worth every penny of that. So the design of this is really great. So when you open up the box, it comes like this. This is a brand new one. These are all mine. These are all going to go in my garage at home. So I'm learning with you as we go through this. After using it, I made the decision I'm going to swap all of mine, and now it's time to become an expert in it. But when you open it up, it comes with, again, I'm pretty sure the 1.25 millimeter nozzle in here. Let me grab a flathead and show you how this game works. So when I started messing with foam cannons and all this stuff, we weren't talking about any of this. We didn't know jack about orifices and all of that. And Griot has tried to keep it pretty simple from what I can tell. It gets complex, gets complicated. They're trying to find a happy medium. They have a much broader audience than I do. Many of you are much more specific, much more particular about this kind of stuff. But the way that a foam cannon works, and the way that pressure washers work in general, the way to control pressure and flow is via the size of the hole, or the size of the hole of either the gun, the tip, the nozzle at the end of the gun, or the end of the wand, or on the the sort of the outlet, or I guess in this case the inlet of the foam cannon. And so the one it comes with, and they're not publishing it anywhere, but it sure looks like a 1.25 millimeter. Like I said, I'm going to confirm that. And so if you have a cheap pressure washer, if you have something that's under, say, 1.5 gallons per minute, it's not so much the pressure as it is the flow that matters, because the pressure ratings are usually pretty much nonsense. I do have a pressure washer spreadsheet that we can, put a link in the description you can go and look at to get your actual measurement of what your pressure washer actually is. So anything Ryobi, anything Greenworks, anything Sunjo, anything, inexpensive steel, Black & Decker, Craftsman, Briggs & Stratton, pretty much all of those, you're gonna wanna take that 1.25 out, and you're gonna wanna use the one that comes in the bag here, looks like this. You're gonna wanna swap to the 1.1. And if you buy it from us, this is my value proposition to you guys. We're going to put our own plug in the thing, and we're going to put the nozzle in. And so if you order any of the packages, the Ryobi packages, if you order the Krenzla package, or you order any of these foam cannons, we'll ask you, what are you going to be using this for? We'll install the appropriate one in, and we'll send it to you differently. So we'll actually open these up, take and swap this out. I'm going to have my dad put the plugs on it, and so we'll have these outfitted and geared up and ready to go for you. So that is my value proposition. You can buy these things anywhere. They're all over the place online, just like the MTMs are. But there's a distinct advantage, I think, of buying from me, because we're hopefully going to teach you more about the darn thing. So the other thing that's a little different with this foam cannon is the metering system. And so you'll notice on the end of the ball, the head, this is my first time actually putting this on here, when you open up the box, so in here, there's 3 different little nipples here, these little metering tips that go into the inlet of the soap tube. So this is quite a bit different than the MTM, and this is a silicone tube. It's a chemical resistant tube, so it should work with pretty much anything, wheel acid all the way up to high alkalinity stuff. But you have these metering tips, and so you have pink, which would be for a high flow gas pressure washer. You have purple, that is for, and these are tiny, you have a purple one, which would be for your lower volume electric, and then you have the aqua, which is what they call their universal. This is where I'm going to spend some time with you in future wash and talks and things like that, figuring out, do I want a meter, or do I want to just use the foam cannon like normal? So let me explain how that works. Actually, let's finish this up here together on the construction of this, and then I'll talk to you about metering. Yeah, so that one's already in there. The other thing that comes in the box with these is a plug, and the plug is actually pretty decent. The one that comes in the MTM is not very good, and it's not super universal. But the one that comes in these is pretty nice. It's not bad. We have confirmed that it does work well with the Mosmatic without leaking, so you can take. It already comes with thread tape on it, and so theoretically you could just install the darn thing. You want to torque this down pretty substantially. So you want to drop your I'm not going to say that. You want to don't be a baby here, and really put some force into the thing. I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm being very PC here. You know what I was going to say. Drop your purse, frickin' tighten it down, go get your wife to help you if you need to do it. The thing that is a little odd on this versus the MTM, there's nowhere for you to put a wrench on this, so you'd have to kind of get a wrench at an angle over the head of this thing, and so it's a little bit more difficult to get to. My dad's not going to be super happy about that when he has to install all these things, but he'll figure out some sort of jig to make it pretty quick and easy. So now if I'm doing this for mine, which is what I'm going to be doing, is I'm going to be putting a Mosmatic fitting on here. These are T304. The Griot looks pretty nice, but this, I don't think that's 304. It's probably 416L or something like that. It might be 304. I think all this other stuff is 304. But I'm going to put a Mosmatic fitting on it so it mates perfectly with my Mosmatic gun. Again, you'll be able to order this in various versions from us, but you're going to install this sucker. You're going to grab a 17 millimeter and frickin' torque the crap out of it. It shouldn't need to come out unless for some reason you got some sort of clog or something like that. So that's our foam cannon setup. The other thing that's interesting about this over the MTM, this leaks quite a bit less if you turn it upside down. So let me see here. So it doesn't leak when you turn it upside down. It will come out the tip, I think. Maybe not. That's cool. Will it come out the plug? Nice. So that is I think that's one of the biggest developments of this foam cannon, is that in order for venting, these things have to suck air in order to, and so the thing doesn't suck in and implode, if you will. And so they have these nifty little vents here, which are one-way vents. So the air comes this way, but water won't go that way. And so that makes it leak-proof, which is pretty freaking sweet. The other thing that's sweet about this and having that soft silicone tube is here the ball. I could use this I don't know why you'd want to do this, but I could use the thing upside down as well, because it makes it a 360 foam cannon, because the ball falls to wherever your gravity is, and obviously the liquid's going to go the same way. And so you shouldn't have issues with siphoning and not being able to use all the soap, and your tube not being all the way down. So that's a super big. I think that's a really great advantage of having it set up that way. So I mean, you guys have been telling me this for many years now. I was just impatient, or I was too patient. I should have been more impatient. But now we know, and now we have it. And again, the MTM foam cannons are great. They function really well. This is just better. So you can tell me you told me so. So what else was I talking about? So the metering part of things. So in here, this is Brake Buster. So this is what I use for my wheels, wheel cleaning. And so I'm using Brake Buster straight up. So this is undiluted. And I'm using it undiluted because this is going to dilute. And depending on your pressure washer on how much dilution happens. Generally speaking, this is probably on like a Krenzel pressure washer. You're going to end up at somewhere around like a single pressure washer. You're going to end up somewhere around, if this was straight product, you're going to end up with like a 96% water, 4% panel impact ratios. You're going to end up with 4% product on the surface. Now, depending on the product and how well that functions and how well that works, I'm hoping that I can get a more concentrated version on the wheels. The foam tends to help. I'm also offsetting some of the pH of the product by adding in more water. I think that would work. Maybe someone in the comments, maybe you could help me out there. So if I have 100% sort of non-diluted P&S Brake Buster, and this is where it gets confusing. So if it takes me, so let's say if I follow the built hammer system where is the general system, I wanted to figure out how much water was flowing through this in order to get my dilution ratio. I would fill this with water and I would run my foam cannon into a bucket until the water completely ran out, and then I'd be able to use that to calculate my panel impact ratio. So on a 1.25 nozzle on this foam cannon, very likely you'd be around 6 gallons you could make 6 gallons of product with 1 liter of this. So you guys can go ahead and do the dilution math there on how much water is used per 1 liter. So where the Griot's foam cannon has a additive option for us is that we can also do some metering. So this would be very similar to what you would do if you were doing soap injection. So you have a big bucket of soap that you're pulling from, or you're doing chlorine injection or something like that, where you're siphoning it into the pressure washer. The problem with soap injection is, generally speaking, when you're injecting soap, you have to, in order for it to siphon, you have to open the nozzle up. So you have to open the orifice up, and you have to drop the pressure. So you're going to go down to something like 400 or 500 psi, and then you end up with soapy water. You don't end up with foamy soap, on the surface. And so what metering can do for us here is just save us time in having to figure out or having to pre-dilute the product or manually dilute the product. So with Brake Buster, because I'm going to dilute this a bunch, and I don't want to dilute it anymore, I don't think metering is going to make sense. I'm not going to want to slow down the consumption of the product because I don't want to go to, I don't want to use less product for my, proverbial 6 gallons of water that I'm going to use to empty this foam cannon, if that makes sense. I know I'm probably not making a lot of sense here. But if I'm going to take soap, let's say, for instance, if I grab GSF and I wanted to dilute my GSF, so normally what I would do, I'd take 150 milliliters of soap, and then I would fill this with 600 milliliters of water, so I'd have a 750 milliliters of solution, and then I would foam the car, and whatever's left over, I would dump in a bucket. And the reason why I wouldn't just leave it left in here is because generally I'm using tap water. the surfactant, detergents of the soap are going to attack the whatever mineral content is in the water. So if I let it sit there for a week or two, by the time I come to reuse it, the soap's going to be a dud. It's not going to foam like it did before, because the detergents are inert, if you will, or if they're used up, if you will, because they were used up on the water. And so what an advantage could be is, well, one, I didn't mention this earlier, I could just take this sucker, assuming I left the tube on here, right? So just assume it. I put my purple little metering tip in here, or maybe play with the other two, and I can screw this directly onto the bottle. And then I'm siphoning straight undiluted soap up through here, or all-purpose cleaner, or brake buster, whatever. So I'm siphoning up soap. Now, soap, I know that I want it to be more diluted than, because it's more concentrated than my brake buster. My brake buster is already sort of pre-diluted right in the bottle. There's more water content in that than there is in the soap. And so I don't want to dilute my brake buster any more than I already am by using a foam cannon. With soap, I do want to dilute it a lot more. So the thing I have to answer, the thing I want to play with, it would be a lot easier if I just took this, filled the sucker up with GSF. And if I pick the right metering tip, so the way we're going to test it is that maybe I'll put like 500 milliliters of soap in here, and I'll wash the car like I normally would, see how much soap that I use. And if I use less than 150 milliliters of soap, using the metering tip, I'm going to be better off doing this, this sort of automatic way of diluting rather than manually diluting, which again, normally I'd put 150 milliliters of soap, then I'd put 500 milliliters of water, I'd shake the darn thing up, and then I would, throw this in here without the metering tip in and just go straight. So those are the things I need to answer for you, and hopefully when I demonstrate it in person in videos, it'll make more sense than what I'm spewing at you here. So these are the things I want to figure out, and they've done quite a bit of work. Griot has with their their poly foam and all that stuff, but I wasn't a huge fan of that. It's just not my preference. I like GSF better. I like Carper Reset better. I like the OG version of the Decon soap better. And so now I got this sucker stuck in here. And so the question is, for my pre-washing, for my mid-washing, for my wheel cleaning, for anything that I'm putting in a foam cannon, what am I going to end up with now that I have these added options, right? Now I have added options for this. So we're going to work that out. We're going to work on the system, and I'll be sure to share that with you, and then we'll publish it, and hopefully I'll provide you enough value that maybe you'd consider buying this foam cannon from me, and paying a little bit more for that, because I'm doing this a little differently than most retailers are doing. So anyway, that's the Griot's Garage Foam Cannon. That's what I know about it at the moment. We will also be offering the rebuild kits. Like I said, we'll be offering the various different, Mosmatic and MTM plugs. I prefer to use, this Mosmatic plug was designed specifically for the Mosmatic coupler, or the Prima MTM fittings, or the Chinese MTM fittings. This plug will work likely with all of them that comes with the Griots, but I think I would rather have the dedicated one. It's better for O-rings and stuff like that in the future if you have the exact same profile. And the profile of these are slightly different, and so that will affect the long-term or longevity of the O-ring and your coupler, the thing that this plugs into, the female part of it. So yeah, that's the Griot's Garage Foam Cannon. This is what I know about it at the moment, and I'll be sure to share more with you as I've become hopefully a subject matter expert and figure out how to break this thing, figure out all the things about it. I know I'm late to the party, but sometimes it's cool to be fashionably late. Actually, most of the time it's cooler. So we'll continue to privy you to the information as I get it. So thanks for watching. See you soon.